All right, welcome everyone to the Winning Together podcast. Today, in this podcast, this is not the clinician and the coach, it's coach to coach. So you've got Shay Aquaman Aslett here, and across from me, I've got the master of disaster, the director of destructive habits, eliminating the bad things in your life, Coach Chris Neo Avery. Hey, Chris.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
The reason I'm having you on this podcast, Winning Together, you and I have worked and collaborated for a couple years now. Winning together and recovering and making breakthroughs and just having a rad life. It happens with people. It happens from giving and working with other people. The reason I wanted you to come on is you're a coach. I'm a coach. We have a perspective on people going through recovery or overcoming challenges that is that airs on the practical application. It doesn't serve me unless it changes my life type attitude, right?
For sure, 100%.
So give me a little bit about your skill set. Like, what are some of the ways you're able to really transform people's lives, and what are a couple things that you've done in your life to transform radically? And they don't have to be like far back or recent. They can be just whatever comes up for you.
For me, I believe 100% that pain is the greatest teacher. So if we do not get so many people go like, hey, what do you want? Which is great. You got to find out where you want to go. On the other hand, you got to realize that you are where you are for a reason, and what are the pain points that you're not learning from, that you keep repeating. And those will be your defining moments in your story. Because we all got a story. And I can tell you whatever story I want, you can tell me whatever story you want, but it reveals something about what we're telling ourselves inside.
And there's a difference between getting a story and your story you think you got is actually somebody else's or multiple other people's versus one you're writing yourself.
I think that's definitely a well said.
I mean, the reason I'm using the movie reference at the beginning is the reason The Matrix has been such an important influence in culture is because there's some truth there, and there's a difference when you know you're the one. When you know you are the one, you start taking control of your own story.
I totally agree. And I will go back. Benjamin Franklin is given credit for the quote, but he said most men die at 25 and wait until 80 to be buried. And I will say
I love that.
A more updated reference would be The Walking Dead, right? There are too many people out there going through life, and one thing I know is that we do not pay enough attention to our programming. Right? We think, oh man, I want to do this, I want to do that, I should do this, I should do that. We should all of ourselves, and we got all these wants.
I like that. We should our pants.
Yeah, we should our pants all the time.
We should our pants.
Yeah. Oh man, I should do that. I should have done that today.
And we should all over our life.
We
wonder why it's crappy because you're putting should everywhere.
For sure. And we want to do this, and then we get to the end of the day and go like, man, I wanted to do that, never did. And because we run an old program, we don't pay attention to how a habit is created, how a habit is destroyed, and we have these folders. And most of us don't realize this, is that when we look and we go, okay, I want to go work out. But I don't ever do it. I want to get sober, but I don't do it. We create a folder that we reference. Hey, I want to go to the gym. Okay, well, in your gym folder...
Using your belief system as an operating system. The analogy right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your brain is a computer, runs off these files or programs that you look at, and in your subconscious mind, it goes in the back and pulls a file. It says, oh, Chris wants to work out today. Well, Chris is a fat ass. He's 50 pounds overweight, doesn't work out. Never has. All it says is I should work out, all this folder he wants to. Every time he wants to, he doesn't. And our brain we go, oh man, hey, I want to work out. Cool, I want to work out. And then we don't realize that that's the program, that's the file that gets pulled. And we have to learn at our core what those files are.
And I love your analogy because it's 2020. And you're running on Windows 95, and you're wondering why you're always bogged down, that you can't process new applications, that you can't find it, that you have bugs and malware and all this stuff that's getting in the way. You get a new iPhone, you update your operating system.
Well said. And with the updating of the software, updating of the program, is when we should all of ourselves, when we want all of ourselves, we run in this energy deficiency.
Very interesting.
Right? We run our mind constantly on these shoulds, these wants. And it slowly...
Which are energy debits.
Oh, of course.
Got it.
Hey, man, I want to do this. Hey, did you do it today? No. Okay, cool. So I feel
Debit.
like that. Let's go back to the cold dip on Sunday. How many people have said...
So just so you listeners who are checking in, Chris and I practice cold work, which means we do cold showers, which means we go jump in the cold water. We live in a beautiful place around the mountains. We were up this weekend and last 3 weeks actually, with the snow around, jumping in these beautiful bodies of water and sitting in it and sitting in it and sitting in it. So cold work, yep.
Yeah, and I'll say, we're going to talk about cold work. This has nothing to do with cold work. This has to do with doing what you say you're going to do and being congruent inside yourself. And if you remember how many people have come back and said now, oh man, like I did this, this helped lower my, and I'm not saying this is a medical thing. I'm saying you can go research yourself on how good cold is. But when you do what you say you're going to do, how many people are like, oh man, I know several of our clients are like, man, I got way more energy now. Like, oh man, I feel less depressed and I feel I feel good about myself. I feel like I can do anything today. Because when you stop shooting, when you stop wanting and you start doing, then you get energy.
The integrity generates energy.
Of course.
Where being out of integrity or out of alignment or incongruent, that is an energy debit. So another example that came to me while you were talking about is, how about that time when you're dead tired and it's way past your time, you missed your workout, your partner's in bed already, your kids are already done, you are doing good at resisting eating the late night snack, and you're dead. But you said you were gonna get this thing done today, and it's 11:15, and you end up doing it, and you're up till 1:15. But you go to bed, and you get up at 5:30 like you said you were, but you don't feel tired. You don't feel like spent or exhausted or overwhelmed. And I've had that experience where I've done the opposite, right? Like, I'm too tired, I'm done. And it's not judgment, right? It's not a self-assessment.
We've done both ways.
So, and I notice the time when I don't do that, I might have gotten the extra quote-unquote hour of sleep or whatever.
Yep.
Wouldn't be uncommon for to sleep in, be grumpy in the morning, not be happy, put it on everybody else, put my shoulds on everybody else instead of on me, and then have a lousy half day before I even get my act together. Because I did that huge energy debit. Not huge, I just debited energy instead of crediting.
And I will say, we equate energy usually to sleep. Sometimes when we're aware enough, we equate it to how we eat. And I think those are both true and beneficial. We do not tie it enough to how we're thinking and what our actions are doing, right? Because the interesting thing is, you get less sleep than ever. You get up earlier than you normally do. You wake up before the alarm clock because you feel alive and fulfilled. See, but we leave the alive and fulfilled later. Hey, we'll get that later. Hey, I got to do this thing.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
What do you feel?
Alive and fulfilled in your life.
Yeah.
You feel alive and fulfilled inside, which is far greater than any external thing, than that extra hour of sleep, than going to bed a little bit earlier. Because
and that's your well. That's your water source. You don't need to depend on anybody else. If somebody else dams up their water or their affection or love or appreciation, or you still have that well of water you go to anytime, whenever, and you generate it. If I just think and just remember the time that I went and did that cold swim and jumped and did what I said I was going to do, or any time, I can generate that energy and that same feeling without even having to do it.
Well said. You got to anchor it.
Tell me a little bit what that means, anchoring.
Yeah, so anchoring is an extremely powerful tool that most people aren't using or are using all the time, just simply unaware of. And if you remember...
There's an anchoring bias that all of us have.
Yeah, we came back from the mountaintop, remember, and I was like, you're anchored to your clothes. And you're like, oh, I never thought of that. We wear certain outfits, we do certain things, we do certain habits throughout the day, and we're anchored to those, which means emotions, memories, beliefs are all anchored. And you can touch yourself in certain spots, like on your wrist, and you can anchor past feelings and memories, like you said.
To interrupt the pattern.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And to create that energy, right? The energy you get from doing what you said you're going to do, staying up until 1, getting up at 5, because of the things you did at that moment. If you go back and you replay that video in your mind, you can anchor that to something you were wearing that day, to a way you were standing, to a movement, to the way you spoke to yourself, the way you stood, the way you maybe grab your wrist, touch your heart, whatever it is. And I practiced a lot of that when I was doing the marathon with no training, when I was running the Spartan races. There was an anchor of a double tap on my heart, and so a few things that I would say to myself internally.
You know what I love that, you're not able to see this on the, we're not doing a video, we're just doing audio right now. Your body and the way you're moving as you're talking, you can actually feel it. It's tangible. And anybody who's listening, they can feel it. It's tangible. And moving your body, and there's such an intimate correlation there that you can't tell yourself, I love myself, and slouch down and put a bag of Cheetos on your chest and I sit back at some soda and watch a show and generate energy. It just doesn't work.
Right, congruency.
It's not bad or good. It's not right or wrong. It just is.
And it's that congruency. And here's what I'll tell you is, for me, when I get feeling down, like I notice I'll say to my wife in like a lower sadder tone. I'll kind of hunch over a little bit more. And I notice when I'm aware of that, and I instantly change my, right? It's like, like, how you feeling? Oh, well, it's going all right. Like, I'm not doing that great. I'm kind of feeling down today. That is a low energy, low tone. And I know, like, instantly when I go, oh man, you know what? I may even be feeling down right now, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to use it to create energy. Mm-hmm. Just the tone and the way my body language changes instantly fires different neurons in my brain, instantly makes me feel different, instantly anchors to those old memories and feelings of that tone and that body movement and when I'm kicking butt. And I instantly feel better even if I was feeling down 2 seconds. And it's only the change in your tonality.
And what we found in the last 20, 30, 40 years is it doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, what you've been through, what language you speak, how much money you have or don't have, where you're living, where you're not living, what you're driving. The process and the way to generate that and feel good about yourself is the same across every human experience.
Those things only matter if you want to stay stuck. Because then you can use them as an excuse.
Well, there's one other thing I want to wrap up here, and I thank you for coming here. You got great energy. I love how you are just a no bull sugar person, and you're interested in what matters and what changes. And the reason it comes through so radically cool is because you care and you're authentic. And what I want to notice about you is you care about Chris first. Because if you don't care about Chris all the way, no matter what, you can't give it to somebody else. So that's why you're able to give so well. It's because you love all of Chris. So what about the times, or can you just talk about, and I don't know if there's an answer, but what about the times when you don't want to change how you feel? You're feeling low, down, depressed, defeated, confronted, angry, sad, low energy. And what about those times? Because life isn't about trying to always make yourself feel positive. It's about feeling the life experience. Can you speak to that, when you're in those spaces, or when one is in those spaces too?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think first what you said is that you got to feel it, right? I think it's super important. When I was using drugs for years, that was one thing, right? I never learned how to feel and how to deal with the feelings and accept them and be okay with them and be okay with being up or down. Oh.
You should know how to shame the crap out of yourself, huh?
Yeah, for sure. And I will say, to me, I enjoy the lessons and what I learned from the feelings. That's the reason it's important to feel, right? It's not the feelings. It's what you are supposed to learn from those emotions and feelings. First of all, I separate emotions and feelings, but it's a different podcast. It's important for us to understand and go like, what am I supposed to learn from this situation? I think everything is a gift. So when you're feeling down, I don't necessarily want to be up. I want to learn what I need to learn from that. Now, sometimes maybe it is me learning how to get myself out of that situation. Sometimes it's also learning maybe what got me in this situation. And sometimes it's okay with just being okay with being down. Because here's what I'll tell you. When somebody's up, nobody ever goes like, oh man, why am I feeling so up? man, I should feel a little bit more down. How do I get feeling down more? Right? It's only when we're down we go like, why am I so down? Why?
We have this instinctual, like, we think it's a need, but it's really just a want to alleviate the uncomfortable feeling.
Of course. I think that's well said. And I would say why is not the matter at all. It's what you get out of it. Right? We can go deal with plenty of clients where they go like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? I said, do you want to know why it really is happening, or is this just a thing to keep you dwelling on that, keep you stuck?
To generate the chemistry that you like feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would say it's what you get out of those feelings. And to me, it's about taking the time and accepting the time that it takes to learn from it. Either learn what you don't want out of it, learn what you do want out of it, learn what took me to this place, what's going to take me out of this place. Because again, going back to one of the original things, if our brain's like a computer, if we have these programs and you want to update your software, part of updating your software is understanding what is this program, what's the reason we're running this,
what's the code that's working,
yep,
and what's the code that's not.
Yeah, exactly. And so you got to understand that each emotion and feeling is telling you, hey, this program's not working, this program is working. If our soul, and I believe our soul decides through contrast.
Well said.
Right? So there's always the yin to the yang. You don't get up without getting down. You don't get down without getting up. So you have to be able to realize that those are all the beauty in life. And I think that's what makes life beautiful. And not to deny the beauty into your soul, but to understand what you're getting out of that beauty. One
of the radically, great things about my life is I've practiced that too, of when things just suck and I don't want to feel better, and I am grumpy, and I'm showing up with my kids in a not okay way, and I'm being just the term right now around my house is like grumpus wumpus, and that I've been able to now practice. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful. I'm so glad. This is great, and not that I'm trying to escape it, but I'm feeling it, and I'm just letting it in to teach.
I love that.
Well said. Well put. Thank you. And everyone, we'll see you next time on the Winning Together podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.